The night began with a voice that knew my name. I had driven until the highway became a thin ribbon and the radio turned to snow. The motel had 8 doors, each number nailed on crooked. Mine was 4. The clerk slid the key across without meeting my eyes and said, almost kindly, "Ignore the tapping. It is never for you." I laughed then, the way you laugh when your bones are tired. But in the room the air tasted like old pennies, and the lamp hummed like an insect held behind glass. At 2:13 a.m., 3 soft taps crept through the wall behind the headboard. I held my breath. The 4th tap came from the bathroom mirror. I walked to it and found my reflection a half-beat late, like it needed to remember me before moving. When I wiped the fog, a message shivered through the silver. "Leave before the 3rd night." My fingers smeared the letters, but the cold remained, a numb outline across the glass. Sleep arrived the way smoke arrives. It filled the room and then my lungs. I woke, choking. The taps had become a pattern set to my pulse. Knock, wait, knock, knock, wait. The pattern answered my heart, then let it, then pulled. I pressed my ear to the wall and heard breathing right there, a mouth's distance away, as if the paint were thin skin. Someone whispered, "Open." Another voice slid under it, wet and patient. "Soon." I checked the hallway, empty. A soda can rolled by itself, then stopped as if a boot had stilled it. On the registry at the desk, every name for this month was crossed out in a single ruthless stroke. The clerk had written my name at the bottom with a polite hand and left the checkout date empty. I carried the book back to him. He smiled too late and said, "Don't put it in your head. It loves headspace." In the room, I turned the television to a black screen. My reflection stared back, delayed again. When I raised my right hand, the reflection raised its left. When I dropped my hand, the reflection kept it there, palm to glass, like a person asking me to measure my future. I backed away until my calves hit the bed. The voice behind the wall exhaled once, like a swimmer giving up the last of their air, and said my name with careful admiration. I did not answer, but the room learned my rhythm anyway. By dawn the knocks faded, and a thin crack opened where my ear had rested. I packed to leave. Cones blocked the exit, and a crow circled twice. The clerk waved from the lobby and kept waving. The day felt like a loop hunting for the next frame. Almost done. The second day taught me the building's schedule. Sunlight peeled the set dressing from the motel and left only props. The soda machine blinked 88 to 88. The office plant was plastic, but the dirt was real. On the door hung a note that read "Back in 5," and the number 5 had been traced again and again until the paper sliced. I packed the car. The engine caught, coughed, and stilled. The radio offered a weather report for a town I had never seen. Up the highway, the same pickup passed twice, the same dent and the same red dog staring out. I honked and heard it before my hand moved. The world ran ahead of me like film slipping on its reel. Inside, I made rounds with a knuckle and an ear. Behind the headboard, I heard breathing. Near the closet, a scritch, like nails on wood. By the bathroom, a low voice tested shapes, vowel by vowel, practicing a mouth. At 1:44 p.m., the TV woke itself and showed the hallway outside my door. No one there, just dust dancing in a warm beam. After 3 seconds, a tall figure bled through the pixels, edges wrong, like several people layered into one. I opened the door. The hall was empty. The TV kept playing the empty hall, as if it had no interest in what my eyes could prove. I shaved my name off the registry and wrote "Leaving today." The graphite shone like a wet road. The clerk turned the book and penciled a neat circle where my checkout hour should be, then another, then a third, until the page looked like a ripple. He said, "People try leaving before the 3rd night. It doesn't like that." His smile trembled, as if he kept it pinned with a thumbtack. At dusk, the tapping returned in double time, not behind the bed now, but from the ceiling over the bathroom. I dragged the dresser under it and climbed. My palm cooled against the plaster, then warmed, then cooled again, like something on the other side was matching me. I knocked. It answered with the pattern from the first night. I whispered, "Who are you?" The reply came in 3 voices at once, a woman, a child, and that slow, wet breath. "We keep the names that fit." The lamp popped, the room lengthened. I unplugged the TV. The screen ignored me and showed the room from above, as if a camera were fixed in the air. In the picture, I watched myself look up and raise a hand. The me on the screen touched the air first. My real fingers met nothing. The voice in the plaster sighed my name again, patient and pleased, the way a lock sighs when the key finally learns its teeth. Oh. Day 3 refused to behave like a day. The light outside held one color from morning to evening, a patient bruise. I tried to nap in my clothes so I could escape fast if the room decided to lie down on me. The alarm on my phone skipped minutes. When I set it for noon, it rang at 11:58, then at 11:58 again, then at 11:59 for a very long time. I went to the lobby. The clerk was there, hands folded, eyes on nothing. "I need a different room," I said. He slid the registry toward me as if that were all rooms. On the page my name waited, and beside it the words "Room 4, Final Night," printed small and careful. The lines above were a column of names slashed by a single diagonal cut through each. The cut had dug a trench in the wood beneath. I touched it. My finger came away dark, as if the paper bled pencil. "If I leave," I said, "what do I owe?" He blinked at the word "owe" like it was old slang. "House account," he said. "House keeps it." He smiled. The smile stayed when he stopped. I backed away and the bell on the counter gave a flat thud without ringing, like a button in a dream. I walked the length of the second-floor rail and looked into other rooms through their blinds. Room 6 held a mattress on its side, stained like a map of a country no one visits. Room 7 was missing a bed entirely. Room 8 had a single chair facing a corner. I knocked on each door. The knocks returned to me from slightly the wrong direction, as if the building bent the sound before handing it back. At sunset the wind eased and everything waited. I waited too, hands on my knees, as if I were the student of a class taught by the wall. When the first knock came, it was from the headboard. When the second came, it was from the closet. The third came from under the bed. 3 deliberate thuds that lifted dust in the corner of the sheet. I answered them. The pattern we had learned together clicked and turned. The lamp blinked once, twice, then chose darkness. In the dark, a mouth found my ear without touching it. The breath was warm. A woman's voice spoke quietly. "Don't stay past tonight." A child's voice counted 1, 2, 3, then did not giggle at 4. The slow voice replaced air with water and said my name the way a diver watches bubbles rise. I whispered, "Please." The 3 voices overlapped and said, "Open the door." I did. The hallway waited, with the door across from me open to black. A place shaped like a room, and not a room at all. The black smelled like rain that never fell. Okay? The 4th night began before midnight, as if the building had grown impatient. The seam where wall met ceiling darkened and began to bead. I told myself it was water, even as the drops thickened and left thin ropes on the paint. I moved the bed, dragged the dresser, turned the chair to face the door. The chair's shadow stayed pointed at the wall. The voices did not grow louder. They moved in. The woman's words arrived beside my ear, urgent and tired. The child breathed at the floorboards, counting without numbers. The slow voice filled the hollow room and pressed my name until it behaved like a key. I dialed 911. The call connected to my voicemail. My own voice asked me to leave a message after the tone. The tone was the knocking pattern. Knock, wait, knock, knock, wait. I hung up, and the phone rang back from inside the bathroom. The mirror fogged from within, then cleared to show the room with my shape missing. I pressed my palm to the glass and felt a palm press back. Smaller than mine, cold and steady. The hallway stretched when I stepped into it. The exit sign pointed wrong. Carpet darkened under my feet, as if drinking. In room 6, the mattress stood upright, like a person finishing a prayer. In room 7, the chair had turned to face the door. A shadow at the far end raised an arm. I raised mine back without meaning to. When I lowered my hand, the shadow kept its up, patient as a teacher. At 2:14 a.m., the building inhaled. I felt the pressure reach into my mouth and remove something, word by word, until all that remained was my name. The three voices spoke together. Open. The door across from me eased wider, and the neon outside bent as if pulled toward it. Wind pressed me forward, but the dust did not move. I stepped to the threshold and saw nothing beyond. Not dark, nothing at all. The place made a sound like a mouth learning a new vowel. I retreated into my room and locked the chain. The chain settled, then jumped free and clanged against the door like a laugh. The lamp flickered and failed. The television came on with a picture that should have been my room but was not. The bed unmade, the chair empty, the walls the same color, yet no matter how I moved, I did not appear. Only when I sat on the bed did it change. The me on the screen looked up, smiled a little, and tilted his head as if listening to rain that had not started yet. Then the image mouthed my name and the sound arrived from inside the wall, perfectly in time with my heartbeat. Nearly, okay. Dawn tried to make the room innocent again. The seam dried to a brown shadow that might have been tobacco smoke. I showered, shaved, and told the mirror I would leave before noon. The clerk waited at the desk with the registry open. I wrote checking out in big, clean letters. The words beside my name now read, Stay Extended, House. The pencil marks were neat and heavy. You changed it, I said. He shook his head, or his head shook. I only write what it tells me, he said, and glanced at the wall behind the pegboard of keys. The hook for 4 was empty, and somehow had always been. I walked to the lot. The car chirped once, then chirped again, then waited. Inside, the air smelled like stale heat and cheap soap and a faint copper edge. In the rear view, the brass 4-key hung where the little air freshener should be, swinging gently in a breeze I didn't feel. I turned the key. The engine caught. The road was open. For a full minute I believed I would leave. The first mile was easy, the second was made of minutes from the day before, the third ended at the motel. I drove past it to prove I could, and found myself turning in anyway, because loops worked that way. On the desk, the clerk had set the registry to a fresh page. My name glowed there already, the ink still wet. Above my name ran a thin diagonal scar, as if the page had been slashed and then healed. I tried rage. I broke the bell. I threw the chair through the office window and watched it hang like a picture before settling without glass. I shouted at the ceiling, at the plant, at the key hook that would never hold my number again. The building breathed evenly while I used up my fury. When I stopped, the breath from the wall touched my neck and cooled me like a hand. It was not comfort or cruelty, it was a claim. At noon, the knocking pattern began inside my chest. Knock, wait, knock, knock, wait. I sat on the bed and the TV showed me sitting on the bed, a fraction to the right. The me on the screen tilted his head, listening for a rain that never started. The woman whispered, Don't stay past the third night. The child, without giggle, counted 1, 2, 3. The slow voice finished for them all, shaping my name until it was not a name anymore, but a key turning. If you arrive there, press your ear to the wall. You will hear nothing. Step back until your shoulders find the air. Then you will hear your name, relieved. That is the moment the room learns you. That is the moment it begins to keep you, almost done,